It's Sunday Fun Day, the end of Plavac Mali week. We're going to enjoy and drink a little of the tasty and good bad boy of Croatian wine, Plavac Mali. Join us. Hey, welcome. Thanks for tuning in to my YouTube live and we're out actually to YouTube and Facebook simultaneously live right now. And it's Sunday, it's noon right now, but as they say, it's 5:00 somewhere, and we are not doing a live stream today. We are doing a wine stream. That's right, this is a wine stream. For those of you who may not know, this Sunday is the end of what's been a week-long celebration of the, as I said in that intro, I mean, maybe some people might argue it's the bad boy of Croatian wine, but it is a signature wine of Croatia, Plavac Mali, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that. I've got some incredible guests tuning in today, and we're going to talk about Plavac Mali, about the celebrations that's been going on, and we've got a chat room over here, so please, as you have any questions, you can go ahead and chat, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. We'll see them all. I can bring them up on the screen, and let's have a fun time. So I'm going to bring first, Mirena Bagur, who he's a co-founder of Croatian Premium Wine, Croatian Premium Imports, and she was a guest on my Journeys webcast many months ago, where we did celebrate and toast to Croatia and the great wines that are indigenous to that. Plavac Mali, Poship, and the whole list goes on. So, Mirena, let's bring Mirena in and talk about if it wasn't for Mirena and one of her colleagues there, we wouldn't have Plavac Mali Day and Week. Mirena, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you, man. This is all you, man. This happened. How did Plavac Mali Day and Week evolve? Just real quick, and we'll bring in our other guests.
Sure. So Ana Vitis, who is a sommelier, grew up in Paris, but of Croatian origin, started having similar idea that I did about how to figure a way to celebrate Croatian wines in the United States. And she founded Croatian National Wine Day in June. I was thinking more about the varieties. So we teamed up and decided that giving honor to Plavac Mali in the fall actually made sense. So we've declared September 21st as the International Plavac Mali Day, and we're able to round out, I think it was about 15 different distributors from around the world, including Australia, some in US, in Canada, and most in Europe. And as well as a number of people who wanted to join in, write about Plavac Mali, talk about Plavac Mali. It's been fun. And then, Croatians being the Croatians, you can't possibly have just one day of celebrations, and it became a week. So that's the short of it.
That's fantastic. That's great news. What great work. I remember when I was traveling through Croatia, and I eventually went to your neighbor there, Serbia, and there was a gentleman I know who kind of, like you, started a celebration there for Prokopac, which is one of their indigenous varietals, and there is a Prokopac Day. So I think this is a great trend to recognize, particularly these signature grapes, to get more awareness for people like here in the United States. As you know, it's unless they know about your website and or some very good retailers like High Time here in Costa Mesa and others throughout the country, it might be hard to find a Croatian wine, but we're changing that little by little.
True. There is more and more stores who are boutique stores who are looking into getting Croatian wines, and obviously they're looking for quality wines. So we get a lot of calls from other states. We're based in Massachusetts, but as you know, we have the online store and we ship to consumers throughout United States. But for businesses, we have to have a distributor in those states to ship. So whether it's our wine or somebody else's wine, somebody else's means another importer, we all working together, which is really great because they're all small businesses. So.
We've seen, obviously, Alan Bibic has some of his wines here. There's been there's some great wines that I can find from Korčula, some poships that are available locally at very good retailers, as well as in Var, if I say that right. But let's bring in another Croatian wine fan. Actually, she's quite a legend in the world of wine. And when I say world of wine, because wine is a world, and there are so much more than, and I'm speaking domestically here as U.S. People that drink maybe 5, and I'm being general here, 5 varietals, and when there are there's like 300 just in Greece. I don't know how many in Croatia. When we maybe bring Sinisa in, we'll get a little bit more about that. But when there's that many wines, why are you drinking only 5? Chardonnay, Cabernet, Pinot Noir, come on. Okay, Charine Tan is the co-founder of Exotic Wine Travel. Charine, welcome to the live stream.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever's tuning in. Hi, Alan, and hi, Mirena. Thank you for having me.
Hello.
So tell everybody where you are and what you're doing.
Funny enough, I'm actually in Zagreb, Croatia right now, the capital city, and I moved here officially last year. And I think that me being here has a lot to do with Plavac Mali, the grape that we're celebrating today, because as I was traveling around the world in search of wine grapes from all over the world, I really did fall in love with Plavac Mali because of its uniqueness and the stories that it brings, because it's grown in very beautiful places in Dalmatia, and also the different varieties of styles of wine that it created. So eventually, because I was focusing on many different lesser known wine regions, however, Croatia really stole my heart, and I decided to move here last year. So it's falling in love with Plavac Mali, yeah.
We could say a little bit of a Plavac Mali seduction happened there, as well as
pretty much that. Yeah, the luscious tannins and like the exuberant profile. Yeah, there's a lot to like about it.
I love it. Well, hey, let's bring in Sinisa Lasan, who is a 3-time national sommelier champion in Croatia, who probably could tell us more about Plavac Mali than anybody. All right, we have Patricia from Poland is tuned in. Great, welcome, Patricia. We can go and bring your thing up. Thanks for tuning in. But let's bring Sinisa Lasan, if I say that right. I'm terrible with the Slavic languages, so correct me. Sinisa, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling me. Well, what can we say? I mean, Plavac Mali is a beautiful grape variety. It's coming from the south, full-bodied red wine mainly, and but there were some sentences before which you mentioned. Croatia is having more than 130 indigenous grape varieties. Since you mentioned that Greece is having 300, so I would say that for most of them we are making wine. And in Croatia, this style is more single grape varieties wine. So that's the reason why you can find a lot of Plavac Mali from different producers, different vineyard areas, and so. I didn't mention in the beginning that I'm in Dubrovnik for the moment, and I'm actually, I'm here. So, yeah.
You are in Croatia. So, there's a lot of history for Plavac Mali that I don't aim to be the expert. I know just a little bit to be dangerous. I know Charine knows pretty good, and of course Mirena. But as a sommelier, you live and breathe Plavac Mali. So I would love you to share its heritage a little bit and why it's so important to the world and to Croatia particularly for its its distinction. And while you talk about that, if you guys don't mind, I hope all of you have some Plavac Mali. It's it's early here. It's noon in California, but I'm going to go ahead and open up. This is from Komarna. This is the rosé of Plavac Mali.
Yes. I just tasted that, by the way. You got that before I got a chance to taste that.
Oh,
but I
really?
tasted it here. Yeah. In US. So for people who know that I live in Boston, I'm actually in Croatia right now, in Dalmatia, in our family home. But on the way here from Dubrovnik Airport, I stopped at the Terra Madre Winery and tasted that wine. So I'm drinking rosé as well. But this year's Terra Madre's rosé is a little bit darker, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's hard. This light's not. It actually looks darker on my video than it really is. It's a bit pale rose, like a pale rose color. So it looks nice to me. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, Siniša, Plavac Mali.
Well, what to say for Plavac Mali? Plavac Mali is actually natural cross between two indigenous grape varieties, which are grown, let's say, in Croatia, like Crljenak, kaštelanski, Dobričić, šoltanski. And actually, Crljenak, kaštelanski is Zinfandel or Zinfandel in US, Primitivo in Italy. But since these DNA analyses are going, forward, probably we'll have some new information in future. So this is indigenous grape variety from here. It is most important red grape variety in Croatia. It is mostly planted, and of course Dalmatia is place where this grape grows. Particularly Peninsula Pelješac is, known peninsula for this red grape variety, where Dingač and Postup are famous positions, very steep slopes, heroic winemaking. And there are some, as you mentioned, some before, I think, Island Hvar, Brač, even Korčula, Komarna, what we are having in our glasses as well. Very, very good Plavac Mali. And so I would say through whole Dalmatia, you can find Plavac Mali, and this is our actually, I would say, for red grape varieties, most popular grape variety. So yeah, I think that this is it.
This is it. So if you were to have, when you think of New Zealand, what kind of varietal do you think of?
Sauvignon Blanc.
And when you think of Argentina, what do you think of?
Malbec or Torrontés?
Yeah, Torrontés. Good for you. I love that. Yes, but Malbec for sure.
Yeah,
and in Croatia?
Well, Plavac Mali and for me, Graševina. White one. Yeah.
What's Graševina? Sure. I've had some of that from out near Elok. Actually, that was really nice. Yeah. So this grape, when you say it's a natural crossing. Oh, Carol is joined us. Let's put up. I say, she says Dobar dan from Maryland. She's opening the Sierra Madre Barrique right now. Carol, thank you. Join us there. I like it. Here's a toast to Plavac Mali, and I guess a lot of us are having the Terra Madre.
Živjeli.
Živjeli, yes.
I also should mention, I don't know if Siniša can do this, Siniša Čurović, who was going to join us. He says he's having issues. It's a Mac issue. So he will not be able to join us, but he is listening.
Oh, he's listening. So if he wants to try, maybe he didn't use Chrome. I know that I've had issues in the past with this StreamYard. We're talking tech guys, okay? So all of us here. But maybe if he hasn't tried Chrome.
I don't want any Chrome in my wine for sure.
Hey, we've got Diana. She's opening a Zlatan Otok Plavac Mali right now. Diana, thank you for tuning in. Great. We're all Plavac Mali fans. I thought it would be kind of fun since we're winding down a week of this. I want to talk about what has happened, but I would love to hear from all of you about the very first time you had Plavac Mali. Now, obviously, it's not fair for Croatians. You could have had it when you were, what do they call that? Meta, the long lunch. How do you in Dalmatia? What's the term for when everybody gets
Mirena, yeah.
I mean, you maybe had Plavac Mali when you were 5 doing that, but I'm really kind of curious because I'll share my story at the end. But maybe Siniša, since you are a legend in the wine business there in in Croatia. When was the first time, and when did the light go off or go on? I guess I should say.
When did I taste first Plavac Mali? Honestly, I don't know, but probably 15, 16 years, something like that. But different story is when I was, trying to understand Plavac Mali, because what is very important, we have a lot of very good positions. I mentioned this before in Croatia, and they are like different styles of Plavac Mali. So I tasted huge amount of Plavac Mali. You cannot imagine how many I tasted. So, but let's say, when I was young, I drink it first time, and but now these days, you need to know the difference between different vineyard areas here in Croatia, because these. If I want, can you give you example like Cabernet Sauvignon from every part of the world is different. So in this small area here on the south of Croatia, there are small vineyards area, and this Plavac Mali is actually giving different smell profile, taste profile, acidity, and so yeah, this could be, let's say, my answer. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and real quick, you are also in addition to sommelier, you're a food and beverage manager at a 5-star resort hotel there in Dubrovnik, and you're at somebody's from a tourist from who knows Canada comes, sits down, they're ordering some food. What would you say would be a great pairing for Plavac Mali in terms of and I know there's different kinds, but let's just say from Pelishaks, from one of those.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, in general, more or less, let's say that not the same, but they are different, but structure is the same. Well, I think that every steakhouse in the world is supposed to have Plavac Mali on their wine list, because richness, tannins, acidity, and alcohol level goes very well with steaks. Like for example, what Argentinians did a fantastic job. With their Malbec. Of course, they have very good beef as well. So this is like let's say natural, food pairing. But I think that Plavac Mali is supposed to be on the list mainly because of the red meat. Yeah. But of course, it can go with as well with some blue fish. Depends about preparation, but my opinion is that red meat is perfect match, and hard cheeses as well. Aged cheeses. This is extremely good with Plavac Mali.
And certainly,
and this is what I'm actually giving to our guests. When they come to hotel, they cannot reject this.
Right. And also with a good pekka, of course, that's more out in the country there, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Charine, I'm curious about you. When was your first run-in with Plavac Mali?
It wasn't exactly like a run-in, but it was a very intentional exploration in Croatia. So I first came to Croatia in 2016 with the intention to write a book about Croatian wine. So it got pretty intense because I just went all out looking for all the Plavac Mali I could find. I don't remember how many Plavac Mali I tasted, but in total for the book I tasted about 2,000 wines. And considered that Plavac Mali is the third most widely planted grape in Croatia, but the most widely planted grape in Croatia. So that's, I tasted significant number and amount. However, that said, my first experience with Plavac Mali was in fact in the guest house. So this really shows the Croatian experience, the attitude, and also the hospitality as well. I was staying in the guest house, and my guest house owner, or my host, invited me to dinner, family dinner. And it was so beautiful because at the dinner, along with me, there were 3 other guests who came along for the dinner, and all of them have been visiting that specific family for the past 10 to 20 years. And they served, of course, dinner and also homemade Plavac Mali. So I felt like I really had the full experience Maybe because of the experience, my perception of Plavac Mali could be a little bit contorted, as in I became partial because it came with a full-fledged experience. I'm not going to deny that, but that was just such a beautiful moment. Since it was a homemade Plavac Mali, it may not reflect the majority of Plavac Mali on the market right now, but it was much more of a leaner, lower alcohol, fresher acidity, softer tannins sort of Plavac Mali. And that was a very interesting experience. And then as I go on, I discovered many different facades of Plavac Mali as well. Like Sinisha said, there are so many different types, but structurally they are the same. So generous tannins, generous fruit profile as well, coming from Dalmatia, a hot, warm weather condition. So you expect a lot of fruit flavors in there. And quite recently, actually, this is interesting because I think despite that the structure is always the same, but because of how right or when the viners pick the grape, how they vinify the grapes, it really can show such a different extensive profile that sometimes if someone who's tasted, like take for example, Aglianico from the south of Italy or Châteauneuf du Pape from the south of Rhône in France, and Plavac Mali has the ability to actually express all of this different style of wine. It's not exactly the same, but it can also sometimes actually remind people of Nebbiolo because of if you make it in a leaner way where the tannins are more prominent. So because of that, Plavac Mali can really go a different style. And recently, I actually paired it with Indian curry, which sounds so, I know, it's like, which wine can actually go well with Indian curry, right? But I actually found Plavac Mali that could go well. Because imagine that if you have a Plavac Mali that doesn't have very strong tannins, but really fruity, really powerful, and it can actually overcome the flavors of curry. And that's really fascinating. And that's the world of wine, right? You just never know. You just always have to try and figure out and play around.
Exactly. You do never know. You get some Plavac Mali that has very little exposure to oak, which is going to bring you out that more of that fruity thing. That is the great thing. Which I think for the grape varietals around the world, like Pinot Noir, there is so many expressions of that, and it really does, based on the terroir, the climate, things that Sinisha was saying that can yes, the basic structure of that grape is going to be the same, but the expression can be different based on climate and location. And I see Kathy Burton is tuned in here, and she said she just was on Vitis, and she had the best Plavac Mali from Biševo, which is really, that's where the Blue Cave is. Biševo. I've been to Biševo, believe it or not, and I've been to Vitis. So great, Kathy. So thanks for tuning in, and Carol, who's drinking. As we know, she's drinking a Terra Madre in Maryland, but she thinks that she might have had her first Plavac Mali at the Croatian embassy in Washington back in the 1990s. That would have been a great event, huh? Yeah. Okay, Mirena, I know that you have a story about Plavac Mali.
I do. So my grandfather, just like any other grandfather in Dalmatia, had a very small vineyard. In fact, it's actually almost too grandiose to call it a vineyard. It was just enough vines for the family to create wine for 1 year and then, produce again. So obviously, at the family dinners as a child, you are given some wine, and of course, I didn't like it. But as a child, what I'm really grateful for is that I've experienced the harvest even early on. I would die to have a photo of me riding on a donkey with the baskets filled with the grapes. There was no iPhones at the time, So it was quite an experience to be able to do that, particularly for somebody who grew up in a very small town, but still town. I was not really involved on a regular basis with anything that had to do with agriculture. So I can't say that I enjoyed going to the harvest at the time, but later on it became really interesting to me. Of course, I later on started enjoying wine. So it's now sort of a full circle, and it's really wonderful to be able to work with winemakers throughout whole Croatia, but particularly I'm grateful for the ones from my hometown whose owners of the wineries I've actually known growing up. So that's been quite a lot of fun.
It does bring it, brings it kind of back home, if I can say, and you are, even though you live in Boston, you are home right now. And these
I am home right now. That's true.
And, your neighbors are, yeah. Sinisa, did you open something new there, or is that just a refill?
Refill.
Okay. Awesome. I mean, I'm just going to, share with you, I've got,
Volanovic.
Yep. And actually, this is new. I am, maybe you can tell me about this before I tell my story, because it's funny when you first heard of Dalmatia, we always think of, here at least in the U.S., we're a little centric with dogs, but they're Dalmatian dogs. But this has actually got a dog on the label. Tell us about this wine briefly, there, Mirena.
So that's actually a Dobričić variety.
Oh, so this is Dobričić. Okay,
Mali. That's a Dobričić, but that's okay.
Yeah, because it is in a different bottle. Now, is it pretty normal for Plavac Mali to be served or bottled in a Bordeaux style bottle? Like this, no. I'd call like a Burgundian bottle.
This is Burgundy.
Yeah. And this I would call Bordeaux or whatever bottle.
I don't know. Do you? What's the answer to that, Sinisha? Is most in Bordeaux?
No, there is only regulative as far as I know for Dingač. Dingač is only PDO and needs to be in Bordeaux shaped bottle. So that's the reason probably that all the Plavac Mali more or less are going in Bordeaux bottle. But Dingač is only having like these rules in which bottle is supposed to go. But now these days we know that some of the producers are putting in different bottle shapes, these heavy bottles and etc. So yeah, but Bordeaux shape is more common for Plavac Mali. Even for Dobričić is not same Bordeaux shape, but as you see, this is Burgundy bottle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this Dobričić, but okay. I mean, it's nice to be different.
Sorry, I was going to say Dobričić is, I believe, the second most grown red variety in Dalmatia.
No,
is that correct?
In Dalmatia.
In Dalmatia, not in Croatia.
In Dalmatia, no. In Dalmatia, I think is Plavina is second one.
Oh, yeah.
Plavina is a grape variety, very interesting as well. Usually people are putting in a blank together with Plavac Mali, but last, let's say, 5-6 years, some of the producers are starting to make a single grape variety Plavina. And actually, it's very, very nice. When you mentioned Pinot Noir, let's say, Plavina could be, let's say, slightly bit stronger structure, but Pinot Noir style. So in Dalmatia, you can as well have the wines which are not so, full-bodied tannic, and Plavina is usually grown on a field in a valley, not on these steep slopes. So steep slopes is mainly Plavac Mali. Yeah.
I think that wine would really work well for the American palate as a more of a drinking kind of a wine. Yeah, Bura. Love Bura, yeah. Actually, I have to call Mara to tell her that I'm here. Yeah. Yes, Maria.
I'm having wine envy right now.
Yeah, just how many bottles are you opening tonight?
Well, this is it's actually today. So it's end of September, and I woke up to rain, which is I'm in Southern California, North San Diego, and it's usually even all the way through mid-November, we still have these very sunny days here, but it was raining today. It's cloud cover. So I was really debating, it did look a little like a big wine, maybe a Plavac Mali, not rosé day. But tonight for dinner, I'm opening one of these. Maybe before I go, Sinisha, you can tell me which one I should open tonight to have a dinner. I will, and I'm going to cook a steak because of what you just said. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Okay. So
a big tomahawk. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm the I'm the only one here on that screen that is not in Croatia right now, and I've been blessed to have an experience of traveling from the southern border to Montenegro, eastern border to Bosnia-Herzegovina, and to the Slovenian border, all the way to the Serbian border. I have traveled all over Croatia, and I still haven't had enough Croatian wine. Okay, I have tasted a lot, but I don't know. But I am going to tell you my first experience with Croatian wine, and it happened to be Plavac Mali. Okay, well, actually, to be honest, I think the first glass was a white wine, just because it was a hot day in end of August there in on the Crljenak, so it was a poship, but that was just to get my palate acclimated. The story is I came across the border there near Neum. Is that the town right there? I forget. Yeah. And I came, and my goal was to go to the Crljenak Peninsula, because I was told by another traveler I've got to go there and taste their wine, and also get to the top of the hill and look at the beautiful vistas that you can get of the Adriatic from that peninsula. And what happened is I got into Stone. Actually, I got into Stone, and I stopped there, looked around at the fortress, and I was on my motorcycle. And then when I got back on my motorcycle, after just wandering a bit, I got back on. I was going to continue through the peninsula. Actually, I was going to go get some oysters first, because if you're in the Crljenak and you're in Stone, you want to have oysters. And I grabbed my my handlebars of my motorcycle, pulled the clutch, and right then the clutch cable snapped. All of a sudden, I realized I am broke down in Stone. So I asked the people at the little shops right across from the fortress there in Stone if there is I knew I was going to have to figure this out, but I'd need a hotel to stay at. And I needed somebody to help me fix the motorcycle, because obviously I didn't have an extra cable. So the wonderful people at Krl, I'm sure you guys know the Krl family. Am I saying that right?
Kralj.
It actually means king, by the way.
What's that?
King.
It literally translates into king.
Into king. Well, Kralj. He comes and shows up, picks me up in his car. We secure my motorcycle there, right across. They said, "Oh, no problem, it's going to be safe," and takes me to his hotel. And I'm meanwhile working and organizing how I'm going to get a cable from. I found a guy in Zagreb who had one. I needed to get it shipped. And they decided the easiest way to do it is to put it on a bus. And then, of course, the only bus coming into Stone arrives at like 4 a.m. And you have to meet the driver there to get it, because it's not something that's normally organized and shipped. But so long story short is I spent a couple days in Mali Stone there. And I guess does that mean small stone or old stone? What is Mali? Because that's Plavac Mali. Small, right? That's what I thought. So Plavac Mali, small Plavac. So I decide to have dinner the first night there at the Krlj restaurant there. And yes, after I sipped on my poship to acclimate my palate and have some oysters with it, I ordered my main course, and I asked the waiter there what I should have, and he recommended a Plavac Mali, of course. And where, of course, did he recommend it from? From Dingić. So my first experience was this very rich, young, youthful Plavac Mali from Dingić. And it was from the producer. Oh, dear. I've got a photo of the label. It's one of the larger producers. I think it begins with an M.
Madiraca. Madiraca ili Matuško? Matuško.
Martuško. That's the one. Yes. So I had that wine. I forget the vintage now. I was there in 2019, I guess. And so it was probably like a 2016 or 17, I'm guessing. And I was taken away. It was really tight and tannic when it first came out of the bottle. And I swirled it and I let it play and I let that wine open up, and it was my first red wine ever having in Croatia. It was my first day in Croatia, even though I was a bit depressed, sad, not really sure, because at this point I don't actually have the bus coordinated and all the rest of that. That took days. I spent 3 days in Mali Stone. How many days does normally people stay in Mali Stone? I got to know Mali.
But you could have been broken down in a worse place, you know.
Oh, yes. Are you?
Wine, I wouldn't complain.
No way. So what I thought I would do is I would, I eventually this experience, and I had then the next night I had I had it from Postup. I had a Plavac Mali from Postup, and as the story keeps going, I've had plenty of Plavac Mali there, but this actually inspired me to want to go to Dingić and to Postup. And I heard the guy told me about the tunnel, and I had to go to ride through the tunnel. So I'm going to play a very short video for those of you watching this live stream or watching it on the replay, either on Facebook or YouTube, to get a sense of how gorgeous. And this is just one part of Croatia. Believe me, Croatia is such a beautiful country, and the hospitality is so good. But here is Dingić, which is probably the most famous place for Plavac Mali in Croatia, and this is I filmed a little bit of the scenery there, so we'll talk about it on the other side.
Look at the islands in the distance. Now we're kind of facing north, and again, the whole peninsula, this part of it is southward facing, so it gets that extra exposure, more sun days than anyone else. There's a dude over here on the bench. Maybe this is a good spot. I can sit on that bench and fly the drone, take a couple shots. Let's check it out.
Spectacular. There's no other word, I think.
Nice editing too. I really like the music.
Thank you. It was fun, dramatic, and it's hard to tell, even in looking at that video, how steep those hills are. And I know that when Komarna being one of the newest appellations, which is what my rosé is kind of modeled a little bit after Dingić in terms of at least the hillside there. But maybe Sinisha, you could talk a little bit about how steep it is, how they harvest, and how they manage those vineyards in Dingić, and why the wine from there is so rich.
Oh, well, first of all, there is, per one wine you get approximately 0.35 kilogram to 0.6 kilogram, something like that. So it's very low yield. Second of all, what is very important for Dingić particularly is that there is no mechanization. Everything is made by man. So that's the reason why this is even more special. There is no irrigation, triple insulation from the, of course, sun, then reflection from the sea, and reflection from the as well from the stone. There is a lot of why you get this richness, because here is, it's very hot. I would say it's probably 35 to 40 degrees of Celsius is during let's say June, July, August, and you get a lot of or some of the grapes can be even slightly bit dried. So there's the reason why at the end you have this lot of this richness. Inclination is about 60%, something like that. So it's very steep. As I mentioned, the most important thing that there is no mechanization. Everything is done by people, by hand, and it's actually, I think that there is one word for that, like heroic winemaking, heroic vineyard, something like that. There are some places in the world as well, in Italy, in Switzerland, where people are doing like this. In Germany, Mosel River, some of the parts are doing
multiple. Yeah, and a little bit of that in the Rhone.
Yes, but what I wanted to say, sorry to interrupt you,
okay.
This tunnel is very interesting as well, because I think that Mirena as well mentioned donkeys, So
Yes.
In past years, people were going, with these donkeys over the hill in Dingač. So that's the reason why on some cooperation there was Dingač, there was donkey, on their label, and then people did I think in somewhere beginning of 20th century, they built this, or maybe middle of 20th century, sorry, I don't know the exact year. They did this tunnel just because of the transportation of the grapes, that it will be much easier, because the place it's called Potomje over there, and actually this is where all the big wineries are,
Great.
Big and small. And I want to actually, since I'm assuming that most of our audience is from United States because of Alan, when you say big winery, you really mean a great winery, because they're all boutique wineries. I mean, if you're talking about a 65% slopes, you can't have too many of that. And also the length of Dingač, how long is that? Is it like 14 miles or 14 kilometers? I'm forgetting the length of the...
I think 40 miles.
Yeah. So it's very small area. It is very special from a terroir perspective. They also grow bush wines instead of them being on trellis. One of the reasons is because originally that's the way that they were planted. So in the vineyards that have been planted a long time ago, they just kept them that way. They're not even in a row. But another reason is that you really need the shade of the leaves to protect the grapes, the berries, from scorching from the sun. So they keep it as a protection. And it is truly wonderful. It's kind of eerie when you drive through that tunnel. It's not that long, but you drive out there and then you see everything that you've shown on the video. And you look down and, Maria Mrgudić actually took me on what she calls a wine safari. So it wasn't even a asphalt road. It was just like, a road that can literally put on a four-wheel drive car. So she drives out, and we were going north. So I was as a passenger on the right-hand side, so facing the hill. And coming back, I was holding what's called the Jesus handle, right? I mean, I'm like, the whole thing going like this. It's like 70 degrees going down. I mean, it was pretty amazing. I don't know how they work that. I mean, it's no wonder that, no wonder that wines are great based on where they're located, but also no wonder that given the yield per one plant and the manual labor, they really have to be as expensive as they are.
Yeah. It's I'm going to put up, you mentioned the tunnel and also you, Sinisha, talking about the berries that get so dry, almost like raisins, because of that there. And I was there very close to harvest when I shot that video, and there's other footage there. I made a full video of me going through. It's called The Ride to Dingic or something like that. It's you can watch it if you want to see that tunnel for those of you watching. But I wanted to say, Kathy here, while we've been talking, is very envious, Sinisha, of your shirt.
I was eyeing that shirt too.
So I'm wondering, because Kathy is in the U.S. here. I'm wondering if there might be a new merchandise section on the Croatian Premium Wine Imports website that we might be able to get some Plavac Mali T-shirts and maybe like a toque like this, for my Canadian friend Diana there. This is not a beanie. This is a toque. Yeah, that's what they call it in Canada.
Yeah.
So where'd you get the shirt anyway?
Well, believe it or not, I made them, So there was one. Yes.
It's actually a great story, and he will probably be very humble. So when he's done, I'm going to give him all the credit.
This was at the end of 2019. I was planning to do, different T-shirts with different grape varieties, indigenous grape varieties from Croatia, and we started with, as you see here, Plavac Mali, and this one is
Poship.
Yeah. Did you tell him that you will ask him this question?
Oh, I'm ready. I saw that somebody was asking. So that's the reason. I mean, this T-shirt is having story. I mean, it's too complicated for me because there was one young lady, which is,
there's always a young lady.
I mean, what you can see here is a sea, vineyard, reflection, and this is actually the color of Plavac Mali. So, but we can maybe explain then next time, or I will tell to Mirena what it is, and she can explain better. Yes, I mean, if Mirena needs these T-shirts, we have them.
You guys did this together with
yes.
At a time when the pandemic started and everybody needed to have a little bit of a inspiration to keep working, because at this point when you're thinking about it, in the that year it was spring, and it was very clearly that there will be no tourism, there will be no commercial selling of the wine, and they were just about to get ready for the season. And instead of facing the negativity of the situation, they actually chose to do this. They've created very specific art around the wine, but they also created videos which were about winemakers. It was a series of 3 videos, I believe, where you interviewed the winemaker. He's forgetting this now. Where they interviewed the winemakers that would stand in their vineyard and say, "My life is all about Plavac Mali," or "My life is all about Poship," or whatever. And it actually was serving as a really good way to round out the community and to make them feel good about the work that they're doing, because they had to keep doing it. I mean, there is no way to stop doing what you're doing when it's an annual life cycle of a product,
Yeah. Well, I hope that you have some extra room in your suitcase, Mirena, and that you do get with Sinisha, and that because I know that Kathy definitely wants one of those shirts, and we'd like to see that as hey, maybe you buy a case of Croatian wine, you get a free shirt. Hey, there's a promo right here.
I will be millionaire. I will be millionaire then.
Yeah, there you go. That would be great.
Well, not if you give the shirt away. I'm kidding.
Yeah. So but, I like the Poship shirt as well. That's a really cool. I like that you show how to pronounce it, right? Because you are. Now, did you do that on the Plavac? I can't tell on the Plavac. Does it say It does up there.
If
Okay.
if I just may say, Charine is here. I mean, they give me as a present their book. If I remember, we were in Esplanade. Thank you one more time for this and this pronunciation. Okay, I mean, you find it over there, and actually we thought that it's very smart because this T-shirt supposed to be for the foreign citizen, not for locals. For foreign, that they, if they take present with them. And actually, the idea was to have it in every winery. Winery, you come over there, okay. People are usually buying wines, some magnets, this and that. When you take T-shirt, I mean, there is even pronunciation, so it's easier for you to later on to know what is actually what you drink, and it's for me it was a very good idea. I think that we will continue with this with even some new grape varieties, hopefully.
Well, I hope you continue that, because for those people that go to Dubrovnik and are, I'm sorry, but maybe a little bit clueless and are sitting there buying Game of Thrones T-shirts, come on, let's go ahead and buy a T-shirt that gives homage to the bad boy grape, or the elegant, sweet, hot, oyster-friendly Poship. Yeah, I like it. So I'm with you. I'm behind you on that. I'm going to help you market that, Sinisha.
Do you mind if I just mention something? Sinisha has mentioned that Charine is a co-author of the book about Croatia. Charine, can you mention something about that? I mean, I think
have a
they did a
copy.
really great job.
If anybody's interested, look up Cracking Croatian Wine. That's the title of the book. It was produced in 2000. We wrote the book in 2016, along with my co-author, and then it was published in 2017. So it was a year-long research, fully focusing on Croatian wine. And I mentioned earlier during this conversation that we tasted over 2,000 wines, and we listed 2,000 wines, we listed less than 10% of the wines that we thought were actually commendable. The reason for that was because, for those people who are really interested in Croatian wine, it's easy to find a lot of great wines here. There are plenty. But for people who are just dipping into the country with just a couple of days, it can be very difficult to navigate through with so many varieties, the big sea, a whole country of wines. So the intention of the book is to help people who only have a short period of time, or who are traveling solo, coming to Croatia for the first time, to help them find the best of each variety. And like Sinisha mentioned earlier, we have things like how to pronounce a grape variety, because it's so intimidating coming to a new country and not be able to pronounce those words. So we try our best to find a way where English speakers are able to navigate and not just the wine, but also the language as well.
All right. Well, since you brought that up, you put yourself on the spot here, because Charine, Sinisha he said it so fast when he was talking of the natural crossing of two grapes to create Plavac Mali. Go ahead. What are those two grapes?
It's Crljenak, kaštelanski, and Dobričić. Is that correct, Sinisha?
It's very good, very good. But Dobričić is Šoltanski. Crljenak, kaštelanski, Dobričić, Šoltanski. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Let her give her award for being able to pronounce even one word. I think it's awesome.
No, she's great.
Yes.
Next time I need to learn how to rap in Croatian.
and that first grape, which I won't eat, Selena, that is the relative to Primitivo and Zinfandel.
In fact, it's not a relative. It's exactly the same plant.
It's the same. Okay, so it shares the DNA.
It's genetically proven that it's same exact plant. So UC Davis, I believe it's Carol Meredith, professor at UC Davis, that did a genetic study, and they've compared Zinfandel to Primitivo to Crljenak, kaštelanski, or Tribidrag is another name. And they've proven that it's exactly the same variety. Obviously, they're going to have a totally different, the wine is going to taste different because of different terroir. But there is now, Plavac Mali is descendant from that and Dobričić. But there's some theories now about that maybe there's some additional knowledge about how Plavac Mali actually evolved, but it's almost too specific to go into that. But we still know that Zinfandel equals Primitivo equals Tribidrag. And I always say to people, say Tribidrag, it's easier because it's only one word, but then you're dealing with the issue that Croatians don't believe in vowels, you know. You're dealing with it.
Yeah. What's the name of that national park?
Oh, Krk. Yeah. I mean,
Sanisha is showing goodies again.
Yes. See, we're getting wine envy again.
Oh
my goodness.
We're getting into real wine.
This is one of the newest.
Are you at home right now, or are you somewhere else?
I want to try that.
This is one of the newest Zinfandel, Tribidrag, Crljenak, kaštelanski, however you want to pronounce it. And actually, I think that they get quite huge reward at the Canter World Wine Awards for this wine.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. This is actually they make two oak barrels, and I asked them, can they send me one bottle, and they send me Magnum bottle. So this is good for me.
Save it. I'll be in Dubrovnik in a few days. Save it.
It's kind of like getting two bottles, but you know, I like the packaging for sure. Well, you know, it's
I should let you know. I've tried to get it here. I worked with Testament Winery, and we do have their wine here, but they produced so little that it was not just didn't work out. They sold out.
Yes, exactly.
And I know we don't want to get too geeky on wine or history, but I love a little bit of history. And when I was riding around that part of the world, you know, I was constantly questioning the, you know, things like origin and that, because at one point this was the greater Yugoslavia, right? This was Yugoslavia before we became the or for many years it was Yugoslavia. Obviously, before that's different, but it was there. And I know in Montenegro, your neighbors to the south, the Zinfandel there is it Katorša or something? Yeah, I think Katorša. Yeah. So there's, you know, before. I'm really curious, and I know you guys are all very young. That you know, memories there, but you've obviously studied the wine, you've studied the history. In a lot of places, like former Soviet countries, which I know Charine's been to Moldova and Bulgaria, you know, there were certainly quality wines, but the attitude was quantity, not quality. And with the falling of the Soviet Union and with the breakup of Yugoslavia, you know, people found their, you know, talk about Mirena coming home and really reinventing that industry. I'm curious, what was the wine industry like under Tito and under Yugoslavia? Maybe you could speak to that, Sanesha. And you know, are there obviously a lot of old cellars around, particularly on those islands like Bar and things, you know, is there any romance to wines made before you know,
1990? Okay, I mean, in general, in ex-Yugoslavia, everything was cooperative, you know. There was no private. I mean, there was private winemakers, of course, but everything was going on in big cooperative. And actually, this is how you know, system at that time works. You know, when we become independent in 1991. That's actually the time when Croatian winemaking wineries start to grow. Even I didn't mention, I mean, we are a very old wine country because there are some fossil leaves on the island of Vis, actually, you know, I think 4 centuries before Christ. But actually 1990s are, if you ask me, starting of developing of the Croatian wines. What you can find in Croatia, since you asked me about older vintages, there is only, as far as I know, 2 companies. One is Iločki Podrumi, second one is Kutjevo, which are in eastern part of Croatia and let's say both are actually at the same area, Slavonia and Podunavlje. So they have some old wines, but those wines which are kept over there, they are more or less the wines which are, you know, slightly bit sweet. So the sweetness is always preserving wine to age longer. I tasted some of the wines from, let's say, 1960. I think that Charine tasted as well. She was on, I think that she was on maybe Grašev in a vertical tasting where we have 1963, if I remember well. Do you remember?
Remember
It was
very
pretty
well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
stable,
actually fantastic wine, really fantastic wine. So these are only two sellers, as far as I know, that they have some, let's say, older wines. Maybe you can find some old, let's say, vintage, but of course, I always like to say from these red wines, but maybe Dingač from 67 or 72, 3. It's only because of the label and the full package it's worth, but you know, liquid inside, actually wine inside is it's not prepared to aged, you know, like 40, 50 years, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's probably it's worth more, and it's better keeping it in the bottle.
Exactly.
For the story. I've been to the old Podrum, the old cellar in Ilač. Ilač? Is that how actually we were supposed to say that? Ilač?
Ilok is the name
Ilok.
of the town. Off Ilok is Iločki. So
okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I won't bother you with all the cases.
Did they told you this interesting story about their cellar?
The coronation, and also that during the war, the guy that preserved all those wines. It's an incredible story. I wrote about that on my blog.
Yes,
because that is just. They should, maybe they already have. They should make a movie out of that, because whoever that guy is, what a legend.
This happened already once. I think that I think that Bruan family from France, from Burgundy, they were quite huge, you know, sellers. They were selling a lot of wine, you know, through the France. At that time, wine was not so expensive, but they have a lot of bottles, Romane Conti, Grana Chazot, blah, 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 this and that, whatever. And then, of course, when German occupied this area, from this guy, Druan, I think his grandfather made this fake wall as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he put bricks, one on top of the other, you know, it's like wall. And then he put, you know, dust and everything on top of this. And I actually didn't realize that behind this is actually treasure, you know, when you consider wines. So this was key.
Yeah, so he already knew about this. That happened once before.
Yes, and this guy, I don't know if he know or not, but this guy, you know, when occupation started, when this last unfortunately war in Croatia started, they started to take this wine and they were making grappa, you know, spirit out of it. Yeah. And they were actually breaking bottles, this and that, blah blah blah. And what he did, he actually took one part of these archive wines, you know, put it in one corner, then here as well put bricks, blah, 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 this and that, put everything here. And it was actually when we get back to this area after 4 or 5 years, everything was there, untouched. This is actually, it was fantastic story. And I didn't know that. I read about it. I read about it somewhere, and then I came over there, and I was actually very unhappy because they didn't tell me story about it. They supposed to say this first, you know.
They only tell you the story of the recent war. Let's go back to the Great War.
And I told them that they at least they need to put one wine label by this guy, you know, this guy's name, you know.
That's true.
Like your honor, you know.
Yeah, honor him exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And for all the people that are watching, I think it's important to mention that this is the northeast region of Slavonia and Podunavlje in Croatia. Croatia has 4 very distinct wine regions. Dalmatia is what we were talking about for the most part today, about Plavac Mali. There's also Istria, farther up north on the Adriatic coast, and then around the capital Zagreb, which is at the foothills of Alps. It's the Croatian uplands, and then going more east, sort of south of Hungary, if you would, is the Podunavlje region, where is this particular winery that you were talking about. So there are a lot of wines from Croatia that I think are indigenous and well prepared, certainly well made in a way that they can be kept for a long time. But because of the historical perspective, that just wasn't possible. But I think that now every single winery is keeping their verticals, right? And the interesting thing is with Plavac Mali, because of its both acidity and minerality and tannins, it's actually really well suited to age. It's also, kept in oak for a long time. We don't even really know how long can it be kept, because I don't think it's fully, people that have started maybe planting vineyards in 2000 or even the ones that were getting the wine after the 90,000. I don't know how long can they age. What do you think, Sinisha?
20 plus.
20 plus, yeah.
Yeah.
So when we now create
from the best positions,
yeah.
Because this Bura, for example, I tasted 94. I think this was first vintage of Dingaš Bura. 94. I think I tasted in 2017. I think it was 2017. It was fantastic. Really. So.
Yeah,
23 years.
Yes. And the danger in places like Dingač and even in Napa Valley, where you have wines, because it gets so hot, then the alcohol levels get very high. As a wine ages, you hope that the alcohol blows off, or that the fruit stays there, so that you don't end up with just this hot, I should have drinking this 10 years ago kind of experience. But I have to say, I would love to have the opportunity to try a wine from the mid 90s. But I opened a California wine last weekend from 1996, which is 25 years old. And I was like thinking, you know what, this is going to be one of those wines. Like I said, I should have opened it up a long time ago. I've had the wines probably since release. And, I pulled the cork on that wine and shared it with some friends. And wow, I was like blown away. So that experience you had with that 94, it can really surprise you, especially because sometimes like mine, where expectations were pretty low. I was actually thinking it was going to be a dried out, not so interesting wine, but it turned out to be pretty good. So,
don't you have a Korovin?
Well, yes, of course I have a Korovin. Yes,
you just tasted it like 5 years ago, and then every year maybe a little bit or something.
Well, this is the good point, Mirena. And I 5 years ago I didn't have the Korovin, so
okay, all right.
But now I have that ability to go ahead and share an experience, and just take a little, what they call, the winemakers call the the little thing, the thief, when they're tasting from the barrel, the thief.
Yes.
And so I think the Korovin is the wine lover's thief. Yes, that is.
Yes.
So you can just steal a little bit off of that. So that's pretty cool.
I had the same experience.
Go ahead.
I had the same experience with Plavac Mali initially as well. I was concerned whether you could age well, because if you look at it from just the stats, it's got pretty high pH, relatively low acidity. When I look at the numbers, I was concerned, and I actually also had a similar experience, like I said, with Plavac Mali, and it really blew me away. But later, I also came to realize that we can't just look at numbers and just tell a story based on numbers, because for the most part, people always look for like nice acidity, nice tannins to evolve over time. But looking at a wine and how well it ages is not just that. So looking at Plavac Mali, especially from the best area like Dingač, it's unfiltered. And because for the most part they do natural fermentation, and we mentioned several times during the call that it has very low yield. So what you get is this is not just high alcohol, but a lot of extract, which come with a lot of phenolics that makes the wine ages beautifully. So yeah, sometimes the alcohol can be high. I even just tasted one that's 16.5% alcohol, but it's backed up by so much phenolics, so much power of everything else. It's just a mind-blowing experience when you get a Plavac Mali, because there's nothing held back. It's giving you everything in a wine. High alcohol, high tannins, and high phenolic, lots and lots of flavors. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, that acidity helps as it ages, but some of those, I mean, I speak because I haven't had the experience of vintage, taste, doing a vertical of Plavac Mali, but certainly with California wines, that's those big bad Cabernets. Some of them have very low acidity, and you wonder whether or not this thing's, is this going to last next week, let alone 20 years. But no, I mean, I'm being a little bit facetious there, but that's the thing. So I love that. I got to get to Croatia. So there's an event in Zagreb every year. Obviously, probably last year it got closed. I think it's at that. Is it at that hotel that I recently posted a picture on Mirena? What's that event? It's
at Esplanade. This is with Professor Dobričić, right, Siniša?
Yes.
I forget the name of the event.
Vinocom. Vinocom is the name. So this is actually, annual event at the end of the year, where actually everybody comes, winemakers, wineries, wine lovers, and actually, I mean, you can taste huge amount of wine. And actually, this is, I would say, closing party for wineries and sommeliers for the year. Usually, I mean, it's end of November. So after that, everybody goes on vacation for, let's say, 2-3 days, and then we are, continuing partying. No, joking. But this is actually, let's say, biggest event. Everybody needs to come over there. Even wineries in last years. I mean, I hear a lot. I don't want to come over there, but I need to come because a lot of people are coming. Really, I mean, from my perspective, it's super that people love wine. That people even sometimes get drunk, of course. But from professional view, sometimes it's quite problematic, But you can get over it. How? Very simple. You come early morning and you have a lot of time to taste whatever you want. In 1-2 hours, you can taste, different grapes. Nobody is bothering you. Winemakers have a lot of time for you. So this is how it is. But it's very good event. Yeah. Last year, unfortunately, it didn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I was strongly urged to go to that event, but it didn't. Yeah, it didn't happen, and like Pro Wine as well was canceled.
There are a few events. There are a few events that are actually happening in Dalmatia now. Zadar Wine Festival is doing a bunch of events, I believe, this weekend. And then the Dalmatia, the Vino Dalmatia, which is the regional wine association, is doing its event that normally happens sometimes in March, I believe, but they're just about to do it also in October. So they're trying to make up for that. And of course, with Dalmatia being warmer, one can actually be doing these things outside. So it's certainly conducive to being able to do it in a safe way. So I would encourage everybody, if they're not in Croatia yet, book your tickets. I mean, I took that flight, from New York to Dubrovnik direct. That was amazing.
It did. It goes to Dubrovnik directly.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I obviously flew from Boston, but it was unbelievable. It's like 8.5 hours. I slept like a baby the whole time. And I came here and I was ready for meetings with people, So
It's that, it's that 8.5 hour, and from me, add another 4 hours to that, so to speak. And
Oh,
it's
six
it's
for
it
you. Yeah.
yeah, put on the mask for that long, and I mean, I get it, but it's I don't know, but
Well,
I was
maybe
gonna.
you need to stop in Boston or New York and drink some Plavac Mali there, and then do an overnight, and then continue the next day.
All right, cheers to that, Živeli.
Surely.
Kathy just opened a Volovich Sirtis, and she ordered from you guys. She's lovely, and asked what region it's from. And thankfully, we've got some other smart people on the live stream here. Brad says he answered it for her. Thank you, Brad. It's from the Komarna region in the Dalmatian mainland. That's just a little bit north. What is it, like 15 kilometers north of you there, Sineša and Dubrovnik? It's kind of between.
Something like that.
Yeah,
It's at the beginning of the Pelješac Peninsula, but on the coast.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what
I just wanted to show you a picture. I think last year I tasted this. This one.
Oh yeah.
Aha! What year is that?
Wow.
98.
98.
And look at that. That's 50% Napa, 50% Sonoma. Yeah. How was it?
It was fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Really.
Go ahead.
Sorry. My Grgić is, he's having Croatian roots, and when I was in California, every day I came to his winery. I couldn't skip. I was going all around. Opus One here, there, and it's Highway 29 or Silverado 3. I don't know. There are two roads.
29 and Silverado. They are. Yep.
And I was, driving a car, and I see Croatian flag. I said, I need to go there. Every day I was going there. Come inside, give me to taste this, that, blah. He is really, really fantastic. Not because he's having Croatian roots, but really what I tasted over there was a couple of wineries which are excellent, really. But his style is so clear. Fantastic wines, really fantastic wines, Smooth. It's not too much tannins with Cabernet Sauvignon, too boldy, too much fruits. It's, let's say you feel like this European touch. Even he go to America, a long time ago with $27, as far as I remember from his.
Yeah, it was some story like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to share a story about Mike Grgić, which, as you guys have talked, so there is actually a Grgić winery also really close to Dingić there, that you can visit there, as well as the one in Napa Valley. It is the same family, but the interesting thing about Mike Grgić, as you say, he showed up on the shores of the United States with $27. He managed to convince the Barrett family in Napa Valley at Chateau Montelena. And where he made wine before he had his own label. And we all know about the famous 1976 Paris tasting that essentially put California wine on the world wine map. And the famous Stag's Leap 1973 wine Cabernet, in a blind tasting, beat out all the top range Bordeaux's. But what's not so often discussed is the Chardonnay, the white wine from California, also beat out all the great Burgundies. And that Chardonnay during that tasting, if I'm correct, I think my history is right, that was a Chateau Montelena made by Mike Grgić.
Exactly.
So not only did we win on the red wine front in that blind tasting, but a Croatian actually made the Chardonnay that won that. So it's a fun little story, and it's
there is as well some movie. I think it's called Bottle Shock.
Yes, Bottle Shock. Yes,
but Bottle Shock, the guy who is making wine, he's Mexican. He's not Croatian. I don't know why. I mean, somebody is supposed to complain about it, because it was Mike Grgić.
Well, it was that's at its best, it's what we would call a B film, and it's a little bit too Hollywoodized, and but it's fun for us.
It became a cult movie though, just like Sideways.
Yeah. But yeah, Yeah, it's true. Somebody needs to do the next version of that. And but that is so great. In 1998, which by the way was an El Nino year here in California, which means it was a very wet year, which means that there was a problem both in Napa and Sonoma of fungus on the grapes. So they had to harvest a bit. They had to time it so it was a bit earlier harvest, so the grapes didn't get as ripe as they would in other vintages. And notoriously,
sorry,
yeah.
I just recall a conversation with Mike Gergich when he, and I don't know when this happened. It probably was earlier than 98, but when he because Napa and Sonoma are so dry, they have irrigation, right? And once they learned that there was a disease happening there, they basically shut off water and saved the vineyards. And his vineyard was the only one that actually survived, apparently, at the time, which was pretty amazing because it made the roots go deeper. And avoided the bacteria or whatever it was. So anyway,
Wow.
so that was quite I think very practical. That's actually very Croatian way. You kind of figure a way around something and just go about and do it. Isn't that? Wouldn't you say that's true, Charine?
Yes, I figure I'm trying to learn that spirit and attitude too, and it's helping my life a lot. Don't fast over stuff, when it comes, deal with it.
Yeah, wait for it to get solved. If it doesn't get solved on its own, we'll figure something out, right?
Yeah, things will solve itself. Don't worry about it.
Hey, just a little
Right,
patience,
anyway.
It's as a good friend of mine says, give me you just might want to have another glass of sugar. Sinisha, white wine Dalmatia. Bulk,
Pošip.
No.
Grk.
What? Nope.
Grk.
Another one.
Debit. Rukatac.
Damn it! Thank you. Damn it. As a good friend of mine says, look, if it's not, you're not, if you got a problem, just another glass of debit. And I bet you guess who said that. I bet you know who said that.
Alen Bibić probably.
Yeah. He says 3 liters of debit before lunch. That's all you need.
Yeah.
As he takes a drag off a cigarette. Yeah. Oh man, I love him and Vesna. That event at Esplanade. I actually first learned of it. I don't know if it was Alan who told me, maybe it was after, but actually was so several people I met in Slovenia in Tribidrag, they come down to that event because they've got their brethren. Yeah. So you do have some Slovenians coming down to try the Croatian.
They're coming from whole region actually.
Yeah. I just knew it from these guys, but that's what's really cool about that whole your neighbors and all of that's one thing I think for me as part of my personally assigned mission in life, and I think Charine to a degree with exotic wine travel is to expose the world to that there are more interesting wines than the ones that you always are going to, and that could be from Croatia, from Slovenia, from Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and this is what's so fascinating, and it's not that it's new. And one of the things I say, and I write about this in my blog as well, is that whole region, including the and if we don't talk just specifically in the Balkan region or whatever, but that pushing eastern region all the way to the Caucasus, which I know Charine also has been out there, is that this is the new old world, I like to call it, because it's it's just being rediscovered, since since the 1990s. This whole region for the West, and I'm speaking to the West, obviously.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, so one of the things that I really like about the job that I have is that I get to talk to the people directly, now that we can do the wine tastings again in stores and in restaurants, we actually do that. And you hear directly from people feedback about the wines. But the first question that they say is, so most people, I should say, that, or at least the ones that have not been to Croatia, they say, since when does the Croatia make wine? And I say 5,000 years ago. So, I try not to be the wise, whatever, So I package it in a nicer way. But no, the wine has been made there for a very, very long time. The fact that it hasn't been known about is a whole different issue. And I think that Croatia, as a country, has a really big challenge, but a great challenge ahead of it to be able to present these wines in a way that they deserve the attention. As Sinisha said earlier, every single steakhouse anywhere should have Plavac Mali, just like they have a cab. And we are hoping that with the alliance that we've created of the private companies, we are getting together and trying to make as much effort in telling the story as we can. But we are also working with the public entities, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Croatian Tourism Board, obviously the Croatian Chamber of Commerce. We have actually worked with all of them together and trying to do something for Croatia until the country creates something that's along the lines of Wines of Austria equivalent, that we can actually mimic that on our own. And I think the wines are great. There's no question about it. So we just need to be telling the story more. So thank you, Alan, for doing that tonight.
Well, this
we
is
really appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, I am very passionate about this. Obviously, you can see from my writings, from my videos, and just doing these things, and having people like you and Charine and Matthew on, and Oliver Bauer from Romania, and Eddie Kurian from Bulgaria. Some really incredible winemakers, and Panos Gritsas, who's got the more wines by the glass in the world from his vintage wine bistro, a vintage bistro, wine bar and bistro in Athens, who's been a guest of mine on this. This is my juice. I love this stuff, and you guys got me to drink before noon today. I mean, my goodness.
So when are you coming to Croatia is the question.
So I'm going to put that together. I know I'm going to go to Pro Wine in March. So in Germany. So maybe it may be March.
Let's plan something together.
Yeah. And other than that, I don't know, this whole Esplanade event in November, if it goes on this year, I don't know. I really, truly did miss that. That was on my calendar to do in 2020. But yeah, soon. And I want to meet Sinisha. I want to taste wine, drink wine with you. And one of the things I always love to do is when I'm on the motorcycle, it's a little bit different. But if I'm flying, I pack a bottle or two in my suitcase from my land and share to places that I go to.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a really great idea. Yeah.
But tonight, I'm going to go on. I'd love to go. There'll probably be no sunset today because it's still pretty gray. I usually like to take a bike ride for the sunset, and then afterwards I come home and I cook dinner. So I'm going to cook a ribeye tonight, and I'm probably going to have. I'm going to do it on the grill, and I'm going to maybe grill up some marinated cauliflower and carrots, just to get the alliteration in, cauliflower and carrots. And I don't know, maybe some roasted little mini potatoes and a salad of sorts. So, Sinisha, I've got, we already know somebody on the East Coast. I think Kathy opened up this bottle, okay, which is the Plavets, the Vulvarich. Okay, Certis. I do have the Bobic. Okay, but it's Plavets Mali week, so I'm not going to drink that one. Then
But with a steak, I think that Plavets is better anyway. So
yeah. So now I've got the Terra Madre Barrique. This is the Barrique, the premium. Oh no, this is the premium. I'm sorry, this is the premium.
Yeah,
hold on.
And I think that that one is a little bit blended.
And I have a Barrique as well.
Well,
and then I have the cooperative, the Komarna. Oh, let's do that.
K7.
Yeah.
Okay,
K7.
I will go for Plavets Mali Premium.
Go with the premium.
Terra Madre. Yeah.
Okay. See, this is great.
Because actually, I'm finishing this bottle, and it's fantastic.
It's really good. And I think, what's interesting about Terra Madre wines is that they actually are choosing to blend a little bit of Syrah and Cab into the Plavets Mali, which gives it a whole other level of smoothness. So we're finding in the United States that people who have been familiar with Plavets Mali can certainly appreciate the more robust and powerful versions, but the ones that have not, Terra Madre styles tends to be really good for the uninitiated, if you would. And then once they get to know it, then they can say, okay, I'll either stick to this because I can't really go into the powerful Plavets,
the big bad
or
boy,
I'll keep exploring and I'll find out what do I pair with what, because that's another issue. You pair a different kind of a dish with it.
You bring up an interesting question, and I haven't explored this as well. In some places I've learned that here in the States, there's particular rules about whether or not you can call a wine a particular varietal, or whether it comes from an appellation or from a district. There's certain rules of the way the wine is made, the percentage of that. For example, if you have a Cabernet Sauvignon, it needs to be, if you put Cabernet Sauvignon on the label, it needs to be at least 75%, but that gives everybody a lot of leeway. Of 25%, they can throw whatever else they want in there and still call
in Croatia, it's actually more. It's 85. So when you're dealing with one variety, it's at least 85% of one variety. So when I say a little bit of Syrah and Cab, it's truly a little bit.
It truly is a little bit. Okay, so that's interesting.
I think that if they want to export to Europe, it needs to be 85%.
Yeah.
Like European wine law.
So that's like
European
EU
wine law, 85% of one grape variety can be called single grape variety, same as the vintage as well. If it's 85% from one vintage, it can be vintage year. So it means that 15% can be 100-year-old wine, but of course it's not. Yeah.
Yeah,
But in the United States, depends about the state, Washington State, Oregon is having different, California is having different. So
yes, and when I was speaking about Cabernet 75, that is a California rule, and I'm unsure at this point of Oregon and Washington, but yeah, you're right. It is.
In most of the states, it is 75, but also states are just so different from so many different perspectives that it does not surprise me that some states has to be more. So
well, yeah, I mean, the state of Oregon is probably about, I don't know, the number of square kilometers is probably about the size of Croatia, more or less, or somewhere. California, so probably almost 2 Croatias. We're so big. So the regions are obviously very distinct and different in the USA. Yeah. We just have states, not countries. But I don't know. In today's political climate, maybe that'll change. I don't know.
Let's not go there. But speaking of going, Charine actually mentioned that she may have to leave us. I don't know how long, Alan, you plan that we stay.
Well, we've been on here. Where's my little clock here? We've been on here. We've been here quite a bit. An hour. We've been here an hour and a half, and I just
could go on. Yeah, we're enjoying ourselves very much.
We could talk forever. It's just getting moving for me. And I know, what time is it in Croatia for you guys?
It is 9. Yeah, 10:30.
10:30.
Okay,
Yeah.
10:30. Okay, so the night's just getting going for you guys.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we should just do a around the horn here, as we like to say, and everybody gives their last kind of words on celebrating Plavac Mali, what you liked best about this whole week's celebration, and then we'll wrap it up, and we'll all go with Charine in our in our separate ways, of course. So we'll start with you, Charine.
I think it will just be less about Plavac Mali than it is saying Croatia as a wine country and just wine travel as a whole. Wine travel is for everybody. It's not just for people who are really into wine. But the matter of fact is that you get to explore a country from a very different perspective. And wine travel is not just about wine; it's about the human element of the world as well. And that is what makes Croatia so attractive, along with the neighboring countries. Sure, every wine country comes with human element and stories such as France and Italy, but considering the recent history of Croatia, there is a lot to discover that could be easily untold and never be reported. So you could, as a tourist or as a wine explorer, you could very easily come to as like an investigator of the world, and that's what makes it so fun, that you get to explore the stories, you can piece them together. And then on top of that, there's great wines such as Plavac Mali. So I fully support the Plavac Mali Day because as a country or a wine country that is lesser known, it's quite difficult to navigate. So having an anchor theme or subject helps a wine visitor, a wine lover to navigate the country a lot better. So whoever says, here's a Croatian wine, yeah, start with Plavac Mali, you won't go wrong. That's where it will get you deeper into Croatian wine.
As a wine explorer, I love that because that's what I call myself, and we all should be wine explorers because it is a world of discovery. For those of you who don't know Charine, she is part of the duo that is Exotic Wine Travel. They've got a YouTube channel under the same name. Their website is the same name. They're like my brother and sister, it seems, because we both travel the world looking for the best in wine, and so tune in to Charine and her partner Matthew, exoticwinetravel.com, Exotic Wine Travel on YouTube, and make sure you follow them. And obviously in Croatia, she's going to be just a little bit leaning biased to the Plavac Mali. Thank you, Charine. You are so awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's Anisha. Plavac Mali week.
Well, Plavac Mali, I think it's actually fantastic that we have Plavac Mali Day, first of all, 21st of September. And I will remember that date because it's two days before my birthday.
Happy birthday! It's Plavac Mali birthday week here.
Yeah,
25.
Excuse me? No.
25 years old.
Yes. 20, yes, yeah. I was, 18, 25 years ago, yeah. So I think it's actually excellent to give this week for this excellent grape variety, which you actually can drink during whole day. As you've seen, you mentioned that you just wake up and you're having a glass of rosé, so it means that it fits you in the morning instead of the coffee. So here we are in the evening, late evening, and we are enjoying a glass of, you enjoying a glass of rosé, we are enjoying a glass of red wine, me personally, with maybe some piece of cheese later. So Plavac Mali is excellent grape variety. One more time, this is Croatian significant red grape variety. It needs to be on our tables. We need to promote it more. We need to drink it, and this is how people will know more about this grape variety. And I hope that next year this Plavac Mali week day will be even more stronger without these unfortunate COVID measures and things which are happening now.
Yeah. Oops. There we go. Good point there, and also to you, Charine. Just celebrating the Croatia itself. In the chat, Diana was asking earlier, I'll pump into that. Why is it so hard to expose North Americans to Croatian wine? And Chris Foster, who's actually traveling, I don't know, he's in that region right now. I know him. He's a neighbor of mine, actually. He says we can start by just increasing America's knowledge of simple geography. And ain't that the truth, right? For sure. And Kathy is saying thank you. Learned a lot. Thank you, Kathy, for tuning in. Thank you for opening up that bottle of Certis and love it. And then Carol here says Vala Puno, another wonderful afternoon celebrating Croatian wine. Beautiful fall day here. And 75, making a lamb garlic rosemary dish with red potatoes on side for supper with her Plavac Mali. How about that? I love that. Chris Foster says he's in Croatia today.
Oh,
so
meet with us.
So you should meet. Chris. I'll connect you with Mirena, and maybe if you get to Dubrovnik, which you should certainly do, you can go have dinner at Sinesia's restaurant there, and drink some more and learn a little bit more about some Croatian wine. That would be terrific, and certainly celebrate. Even though we did, the 21st was Plavac Mali Day, the 24th was your birthday, or is it 23rd? 24th. 23rd was Sinesia's birthday, and here we are, the 26th, rounding a week of that, and right now bringing the the founding mother of Plavac Mali Day, Mirena Bagur. By the way, for those of you tuning in or watching the replay, you can go to Croatian Premium Wine Imports. Just Google that. You can find, and they will ship to most states direct to the consumer. There's rules, so just check their website, and you can order your own bottle or case of Plavac Mali or different things. And by the way, if you live in Southern California and Orange County or San Diego, in Orange County, High Time Wine Cellars has Croatian wine in the largest temperature-controlled wine cellar in California. You can go to them. They're a very great retailer. They actually sell some of the Camarena wines as well. And in San Diego, here in Del Mar, Wine Connection also has Croatian wines, also from Camarena, for sale. So you can find it. You just have to be a little assertive, okay, for that in order to find that. So, as I'll steal the screen for a second, you got to be assertive. Go to the Wine Connection, go to High Time Wine Cellars, go to Croatian Premium Wine Imports, and taste Croatian wine. Get the flavors of Dalmatia and the whole region in your palate and enjoy that. Mirena, thank you for creating this wonderful day and week. How's it been?
Thank you. It's been amazing to be part of that and to be able to work with people like Ana Vidočić, with our Canadian neighbors, people in Europe and Australia. We are all trying to do exactly what Diana was saying, which is trying to make people in North America understand the quality of Croatian wines. So, I mean, wine is a big business. I mean, there's who knows how many tens of thousands of labels that are on the market in United States alone. And being able to tell the story is not easy. It will take a country to unite behind some common goals. And as I mentioned, we are working with all the bodies that we can, including the Croatian Embassy in DC. And we really would like to mention all the importers in the United States are very small companies. They're not your large wholesalers. They're doing a great job in bringing a wine that costs a lot more than your regular cab or Malbec from Argentina or something from Chile, and positioning that wine as being a really good quality is not easy. So what I think we all need to remember is that there's a tremendous amount of North Americans that are coming to visit Croatia. So, if we skip a year or two of pandemic, and even if we look at this year when beginning of July, we didn't really know in Croatia whether there was really going to be a tourist season, and it was one of the best so far. So these people are the ones that we need to, in Croatia, educate about Croatian wines. Once they leave back to their own countries, they will take that flavor with them. They will take the aroma with them. They will want to drink that glass of Plavac Mali or Malvasia or Graševina. I mean, if you're sitting overlooking a vineyard someplace and tasting a wine, you're going to remember where you had it, and you will want to have it at home. And that's exactly why we started our business, by the way, because we couldn't find it in enough places. But the biggest satisfaction that I get in doing this is when somebody calls me and says, I am so thankful that you were able to find, that you were able to ship a bottle of wine to my father or my uncle or my mother, because she's from Croatia and she hasn't had a chance to have it, and she was able to get it for her birthday. And they call me and they tell me that.
That's so good.
Amazing story. I feel like I know their parents at that point.
Yeah.
So all of us, I think, are ready to tell the story more. It's a great story, 5,000 years old. The wines are not that old, but they can age quite a lot. We actually have, for those of you that are listening from United States, we have 70 plus different wine labels in our inventory. 2 weeks from now, we'll have 80 plus. So that means that they're from all different regions. They're all different varieties. Tonight, the topic was Plavac Mali, but that doesn't mean that that's all that we carry, obviously. So for all of you, there's something that you can enjoy.
I'm looking forward to Poship Day coming up, man. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I am. Hey, Brad Smith is on here, who's obviously a big wine fan. He says he's drinking Tribidrag because he believes in respecting one's elders. Now, how about that there? We did.
Okay.
And Chris Foster, my friend, who I believe is on his motorcycle, is in Promotion. And he's heading to Dubrovnik in a few days. So I'll connect you, and hopefully you guys could share a glass of wine. He lives like 2 blocks from me right here. So is a good friend as well. And a world traveler. He's been all over the world. I guess I'm the last one to do my Plavac Mali kind of my thing here. I think what I want to say is, I love what Charine said, is we all need to be wine explorers. And when there is an event and people will dedicate, and as I said, the Serbians with the Prokopac, that, this is just the first year. In the future, I believe there'll be restaurants across the United States, across the world, that will be offering Plavac Mali, glasses by the wine, unique wines for that. There'll be specials. There'll be opportunities for us to all explore this great grape varietal, which is kind of like, I would like to say, a entry. It's a entry level. I mean, entry level is not word, but a gateway to really appreciating Croatian wine and to appreciating wines of the former Yugoslavia all over there, and really to get beyond the 7 or 5 varietals that people always seem to go to. So let's go ahead and pick up our glasses. One last toast, and we'll cut down the live stream here. And how do you do that? There we go. Thank you, Mirena, Sinetia, Charine, for celebrating with us, and for all of you who tuned in to the broadcast and who watched the replay. Thank you.
Thank you all
for
for
having us.
Look at all the colors we have.
Yeah, look at that.
Jivali.
Julie.
Yes.
No rock.
No rock.
Arabia.
Go on. What other languages do you speak?
Oh, we can keep going. Somas. Yes. Yeah. Anyway.
Salute, Frost, cheers.
Cheers. Yes. Yes.
Cool.
Sante.
Yeah.
Yep. And we could say buen vino, buen provecho, buen. Yeah, onward and onward. Hey, this has been so great. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will look forward to the next one. Watch for season 2 of the Journeys webcast. We're going to bring maybe we'll even get Sinead on for a more in-depth conversation as a guest. Being a 3-time national champion Croatian sommelier, I love it. I'm gonna play a little ending video, and we'll come back and say goodbye at the end. Let's see if I can know how to do this. This is Alan. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. There you go. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on the round. I'll be in Croatia soon, but meanwhile, you'll meet my friend Chris Foster. That'll be so awesome.
That would be great.
Okay, guys. Cheers.
Thank you, Živjeli. Thanks a lot.
Živjeli. Bye.
Bye.